So I wanted to talk about fear again, and fear, hesitation, reluctance, any of those things. And I wanted to talk about a simple process for dealing with it. I think what is most useful is when you notice yourself going for something, or getting an idea like, oh, I want to go do this project, or I want to learn this new thing. And if you notice anything that you feel is stopping you, or any fear or reluctance coming up, to stop in that moment, if possible. First of all, notice it, and then uh, begin to take that as a place where you can allow yourself to have that experience and sort of meditate on the fear. And I'll sort of go over how to do that. So instead of at times when we think about a project, we might go into project management mode, which is good and very useful. But or what'll happen is we'll think, okay, I want to get this goal, and then there's this fear that we don't notice, and we just shove it aside and move on to something else. What I'm suggesting here is, if you can catch the fear, then take a moment and allow yourself to feel it. And we'll do an inventory, much like I've talked about many times, where you just first notice, okay, where am I experiencing this fear? Where is it in my body? And is it a particular size or shape? And is there a particular quality to it? And I love the idea of welcoming it or inviting it and making space for it. And if you do this, sometimes it will even begin to dissipate right on the spot. But certainly if you make it a practice, anytime you notice fear coming up, is it coming up the same way that it came up yesterday? Are you experiencing it in the same place? Because very often what we do is we experience it and respond to it without noticing it. So we might avoid the situation, or like I said, get distracted with something else. But instead, if we welcome it, then there's an opportunity that perhaps it will transform, or certainly our experience of it will transform. I think very often people are afraid of their fear, or they're afraid to experience their fear. I remember years ago when I had just really paralyzing stage fright, and I was just starting to be a trainer. And I said to Stephen Leeds, who was my mentor at the time, I said, Steve, I'm still I'm still experiencing all this fear whenever I go up to train. And he said something really nice. He said, have you given yourself permission to be frightened, or to experience that? And I realized that I hadn't given myself permission, that I was fighting it. I was trying to get rid of it. I was trying to do anything other than just letting it be there and letting myself experience it. And so I began doing that. And even when he asked me, I began to relax around the fear. And the other thing I did in that particular, at that particular time, was I spoke to it. So when I was presenting, I would say, oh, I'm experiencing a little bit of stage fright. And for me, it was just very freeing to let it in the room. Now, not all circumstances allow that. I can understand you may not want to tell everyone that you're frightened, but for me, I realized, what, this is what's going on. And instead of trying to hide it and trying to act like everything was fine. I spoke to it, and then, you know, it allowed me to include everyone, and it certainly calmed me down. And I actually found that people were very supportive. You know, they were like, oh, you know, oh, and in fact, some people said, oh, I didn't know that you were experiencing some stage fright. But the first person that we have to convince is ourselves, like to give ourselves permission to feel whatever fear is going on and just experience it. It's I think of it kind of like trying different types of food. You know, it's like, is the fear today the same as yesterday? Or is it different? Is it in the same part of my body? As I'm experiencing it, how am I breathing? What am I feeling in the rest of my body? Is the rest of my body tense? And is the fear trying to do something for me? Is it trying to alert me to something, perhaps? So just beginning to get really curious about it and continuing to make more and more space for it. You know, just really welcoming it. Like, you can be here as much as you like. And what I found is, by doing that, it, at least in my experience, it really transforms it whenever fear does come up. And the times when it doesn't go away is when I don't notice it, but I'm responding to it in my body, or I'm running away from it. I'm picking fear here, but this is really the case with any emotion. And what I like about this is it's an exercise you can do immediately on the spot. The minute you notice yourself hesitating in relation to something that you want to do, again, just slow down, notice it. Where in your body is it? How big is it? Is there a particular color? Is there something that you say to yourself? Does your body start to freeze up, or are you relaxed? So all these questions, just ways of really being in the experience for a moment, can begin to have a very transformative effect on that. And also the fact that you make time for it. So you're not invalidating and saying like, hey, come on, fear, get out of my way. I just want to get on with things. But you're saying, okay, I'm going to include you in the process. You know, what are you trying to contribute here? What are you trying to offer to this experience? So really building your approach on this fear. And then it's amazing. Like it's like it, at least in my experience, when I do this, it relaxes in the same way that if you were to relax, I mean, if you were to calm down a child who's nervous, at a certain point their breathing starts to relax and they start to relax. So again, if you notice you're hesitating, notice it on the spot. Notice where it's impacting on your body, where you're feeling it, and then welcome whatever's happening, and really just give yourself time to experience it and see what it's like. So I would recommend giving that a shot.